Hello, this is Nick from Raw Skills Bushcraft Survival and Adventure. Thank you for joining me today. As you can see, I'm indoors today. I was outside earlier, did a 7k hike, carrying a 38-pound weighted vest. Currently training for doing some good mountain hikes in the next few months. So stay tuned for that one. I will do another video on my routine and how to basically train for carrying weight, becoming a mule, in other words. So anyway, back to today's lesson. I'm going to go into layering today. As everyone knows, North America's been having a bit of a cold front lately, and it's been in the double negatives a lot. So all I'm going to do today is go through a very basic way that I layer and how I was taught to layer with my clothing for winter, basically. So first things first, I'm currently in my underwear. This is my very first, my second layer, I should say, because underneath this I've got a pair of boxer shorts on. But I have this is a North Face top layer, and then the bottom layer, my set of long johns. Again, another random brand set of long johns, but they're both made of polyester, a very good material for wicking away moisture, but it's not very flame retardant, which could be a kind of issue. But hey ho, it's a very good material. Winter, you want to stay away from materials like cotton, anything like that holds moisture and takes a while to dry. You want to stay away from it because that'll kill you in a bad situation. Wool in winter time is king. Of course, they brought out a new type of wool now, which is merino type. It's a wool mixture. Which is great because wool typically is mildly flame retardant. It doesn't burn as easily as the man-made materials like this. So yeah, as long as if I was wearing wool, I'd be mildly flame retardant. But as I got this on now, I could go up like a Roman candle. Anyway, so second layers, I should say. Boxer shorts underneath here, long johns. This is my very first layer. Very first layer. Next layer. I tend to like to layer lots of small layers rather than one big thick layer or a couple of big thick layers. I like to layer in multiple thinner layers, and that way I'm more versatile. I can take them off, put them on, add them. That's key when you're out in the wilderness, is regulating your body temperature. Unfortunately, we're not like animals. We don't have a fur coat on us, so we have to regulate our body temperature with our clothes we wear. So, how do we do it? Okay, second layer. Typically for me, I got a wool. This is a wool long sleeve. This is a merino wool long sleeve. 100% merino wool. Hopefully you can see that. So always check your tags when you're buying stuff, just to make sure what's in them. So this will be my second layer. So I got my initial layer, lots of moisture wicking properties to these layers here. The polyester wicks moisture away perfectly. Same with the merino wool, wicks away moisture perfectly. Moisture in a cold environment is your worst enemy. So you want to try and stay away from that if you can. Okay, so that's my top half. Bottom half, I have a set of US Marine desert pants. Desert pants, you may say, but I find these thick enough. These are actually thick enough without getting too cumbersome and too hot for my legs, because myself, I'm like a furnace a lot of the time. So I like to put these on. I wear these year round. They're great for year round because they wick the moisture away very well. They keep me dry, and they dry pretty quickly too, because they were designed for the deserts. They were designed for being sweated in a lot. So they need to be dried out quickly. So that's my base layer covered. Base layer, top layer for my pants. Feet wise, depending where I'm going, I typically like to wear thinner layers multiple thinner layers. So typically for my feet, they don't get too cold very often. So I'll wear a thinner layer of socks. These are typically polyester socks from the bottom layer, and then the main second layer, which will be a thicker set, because of course you can't have too many sets of socks in your boots, because if you get too cumbersome, they'll all be moving around, you'll get blisters. So second set, this is typically a set of wool socks. Because that's one good thing about wool, is even when it gets wet, it still keeps 80%, that's 80% of its thermal qualities, which makes it a superior material in my books. The only thing with wool is you've got to be careful washing it, because it can shrink. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So I'll tuck my base layer into my socks like so. Okay, moving on to the top half. I have, this one is a wool slash polyester fleece sweater, and I'll have that one over the top of that, or depending on how cold it is, I should say or depending on how cold it is, I'll have my fleece on top of this, or instead of that sweater. So that's to keep my core nice and warm. As long as your core is nice and warm, you can keep a lot of the extremities warm that way. As long as your core is mainly covered and you keep your core nice and warm, you should stay nice and warm. And you hear the dogs. On the hands, I'll typically, depending on how cold it is, I'll have one set of gloves, or if it's really cold, I'll layer up with the gloves too. So I'll have my fingerless gloves underneath, followed by a good set of mittens. Which I can take on and off as the job necessitates. That's a good word. So yeah, these here are just great for walking, medial tasks, and then when I need some dexterity, just take them off. I have the dexterity with the fingers here, and I'll also carry another set of gloves for chopping wood and for around the fire too. So these are typically the mittens, extremely waterproof, 100% waterproof, so they keep your hands nice and dry and away from the wind. Head-wise, head and neck I should say, you will lose a lot of heat from your head because heat rises. So you want to think about the back of your neck. So I have a butt. This is called a buff, so it's like a head over, and this is very versatile because you could turn this into a hat. You can turn this into a hat by putting it on your head, twist it around, and put it back on itself again. If I can do it. Not doing it for the camera. Hang on a minute. You'll see these advertised around, so get that on my head there like that. Make a little twist in it and put it back over. And that makes a good hat for you. That's a good hat right there for you. Or if it's super cold out, you can cover your neck and cover your cheeks and your face up with it too. So it's a multi-use bit of kit. Hey Duncan, how you doing? And Lily, we've got all the dogs in here. Both the dogs in here. Downstairs, you two go. Downstairs, come on. Good doggies. Good doggies. So I have the buff for the neck. Hey, downstairs, go. Downstairs, I know myself. Go. Downstairs, good boy. And then for your lid, you should always have to carry a lid with you, i.e. hat. I just have one layer hat here, and that's my hat on top of my head. And also then, if I need to, I always like to have a hood on my sweaters because I've got that protection as well. So that's basically, that's my base layer, that's my second layer, my top layer, and then my final windbreaking layer wind and rain breaking layer, I should say. This is just a set of Canadian Army issue waterproof pants. Can't go wrong with surplus stuff. It's built to last. Might be a little bit heavier, but it's built to last. This one here is a German Army Flecktarn waterproof jacket. Nice and long, nice and big. So I can fit all my extra warm kit underneath it, and this will also keep the wind from on my bones, from it getting into my lower layers. So that's it. That's my basic layering tutorial. Hope that's very helpful for you. And if you have any questions, don't feel free to ask. And again, with this, it's versatile. You can add, take away layers. Right now, I'm getting super hot because I'm indoors. So I'll get rid of the, typically, if I'm outdoors, I'll get rid of the gloves. I'll leave the hat, I'll keep the hat on as long as possible. I'll get rid of the windbreaker, depending on the weather. If it's windy, I'll take off the windbreaker briefly to lose layers from underneath it. That's my waterproof layer, so I want to leave that on and leave that on as long as I can. So I'll take off multiple layers from underneath that windbreaker. So lose the head over too. That can go. So I'll lose the sweater. I'll lose the fleece, and then I can put my waterproof layer back on. That'll keep the wind out and any rain that comes along. And then when I want to put extra layers back on, I'll just add a sweater, add a fleece, and then I can add, and of course my gloves will go back on way before that. So yeah. So to reiterate, remember, stay away from cotton, stay away from any moisture holding materials. You want moisture wicking materials in winter. Always bring a lid, and wool is king in winter time. So just keep that in mind and you can't go wrong there. And that's just a basic guide to layering. So thank you very much for watching today. Keep an eye out for more videos, they're coming soon. Cheers. One more thing I forgot to add, when you're just about to set off on a hike and you know it's going to be a good long arduous hike, start out a little bit cold, because I guarantee you, once you start walking, once you start taxing yourself, you're going to get warm. Your core temperature is going to rise and you're going to get warm very quickly. So you're going to find yourself taking off layers as you go. So you want to try and mitigate this by starting off your hike nice and cold, a little bit chilly, and going on from there basically. Adding layers as you need them. Of course, if you stop, you chuck on a sweater, chuck on your windbreaker, and you'll be golden. So that's the last thing I want to add. Thanks for watching. This is Nick Evans. Stay nice and warm out there.